All right, I want to take in Allie Beth Stuckey here and bring her on the program. There's a great story out about something she's just released that it was on the Blaze.com, and I have not seen the interview yet. I've seen pieces of the interview, and it looks, this is amazing. Allie Beth, this may be one of the best interviews you've done. Let me play a little clip of it here first.
So the tech wife mafias, I believe, were kind of being conscripted in many ways, and their money especially was being conscripted in to set the groundwork for the Great Reset.
Yeah. Specifically through
a network of NGO advisors, relationship with Hollywood, relationship with Davos, and their own companies. So if you look at like who's on these boards, who hangs out with each other, how the culture of tech wealth works, like Silicon Valley tech wealth, and that small group of people responsible for a huge amount of money and a huge amount of NGO activity across the United States. It's a really small group of people, and it's a really small group of people making these decisions.
Yeah.
And then completely blind to everything else that's going on and how their groundwork is being used to then enable these other policies, these great reset policies.
It is amazing to go from 5 years ago, everybody saying, that's crazy, that's not happening, to the former wife of the head of Google coming out and saying, yeah, this was all orchestrated and we didn't even know what we were into as wives, as the Silicon Valley Mafia wives, as she calls them. Allie Beth, welcome to the program. How are you?
Thank you so much. Doing well.
Really powerful interview. What did she say was her turning point? What woke her up? I had horrible pain in my hands. I had a hard time moving them. I could barely work with them. I couldn't write or type or anything. I tried everything. Then I found Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free supplement developed by doctors, and it's safe to take daily. It made a real impact for me and so many others. Try their 3-week quick start now, $19.95 at relieffactor.com.
Wow, there were so many moments across her journey. We kind of started on the campaign trail with RFK. She shares something that she said that she had never shared before, that she was pregnant, surprisingly, on the campaign trail, and that she had a late-term miscarriage at 20 weeks, and it was life-threatening for her. She lost the sweet baby, and she almost lost her life. And she said that as she felt her life being pulled from her, she almost made this kind of like exchange with God, like, okay, God, like you've got my life. I will do anything, basically. I'm paraphrasing there, and people can go watch the interview for her actual verbiage. But she felt all of a sudden this kind of peace of God. But there had been a lot of moments until then that had led her to that realization that he is real, that the gospel of Jesus is real, and all of this. And something interesting she talked about is on the campaign trail, and she and I had talked about this privately too, and it's okay for me to share, said that she really saw the reality of evil, the reality of hell, when she was deep into politics, and that kind of started to shift her perspective on, wait, who are the bad guys here?
Yeah.
What's going on? All of this evil is being done under the guise of really good intentions, especially in Silicon Valley, and I don't think I want to be a part of that anymore.
Yeah, she said a couple of things. Well, first of all, when you kind of just said the interview gets into much deeper of her losing the baby. She lost over 4 liters of blood. You really only have about 4 liters of blood in you, and she was bleeding out. So it was a really traumatic moment of her dying as well as her child dying at the same time. She said at one point to you, when I started to realize all of this stuff, it's a little difficult when you're married to the guy who started Google.
Yes. So that kind of goes back further in her journey during COVID. She shared that her daughter was diagnosed with autism. And like any good mom, she's trying to figure out, wait, how did we get here? How can I help her? What's going on in her little brain to help me understand how to best support her? And as she was digging into the research, she found some things that kind of have been dubbed right-wing conspiracy theories about, different environmental factors, even pharmaceutical factors that could possibly cause some symptoms of autism. But she had a hard time researching because the search engine that almost everyone uses censors that kind of information. And while she was married to the co-founder of Google, who was playing a part in censoring that information, not only inhibiting her research for her daughter, but research for the effects of the COVID-19 vaccine. And she shared that caused, understandably, a lot of conflict in her life and still does.
I wonder what the conversations were like. You know what I mean? If you're looking at these things and then all of a sudden Google, your husband's company, is censoring and saying this is bad, you'd be, I mean, can you imagine that? It would be really very bizarre to have that conversation at dinner that night. Hey, I'm trying to do some research and you guys are shutting me down. And I got to tell you, I don't think this is crazy stuff. I wonder what those conversations were like.
I don't know. It's crazy to think about.
What was the biggest thing you took away from her? I really, really like her. Is this the first time you've met her?
The first time I've met her in person.
Yeah.
I'm just struck by how genuine, down to earth, vulnerable she is.
Yep.
It is not easy to admit, especially when you're someone who has been prominent in that space, has donated a ton of money to entities like Planned Parenthood, George Gascon, other progressive causes, to admit that you're wrong, that you didn't see things as they were, and now you see things differently. At one point, she said, I helped all these women get abortions, and I suddenly realized I never helped a woman keep her baby. How dare I? Wow. Not many people, especially in that space, have the humility to admit something like that. And I just praise God for that, because that transparency will help a lot of people.
How has her friend circle changed? I can't imagine she's got a lot of friends that were in that original circle.
She said that she still has friends. Maybe, I don't know about in the tech wife mafia, but she still has friends who are very progressive. And I could see how she's just a good person and a good friend. But she's having bold conversations with them. I know that for sure.
Well, it's great. You did a great job. I'm so happy for your success, Allie. I really am. You're just you deserve it. Talk about your shared arrows. Give me your shared arrows pitch here.
Yeah, Share the Arrows. It is our Women's Christian event, October 11th, Dallas, Texas. We are going to have Francesca Battistelli leading worship. We're having Elisa Childers. We're having Ginger Volo, Katie Soust. So many amazing speakers that are just rallying Christian women to be courageous in our homes, in whatever spaces God has placed us, to share the arrows with fellow believers as we face a common enemy. So super excited about it. People can go to sharethearrows.com for more information.
Thank you so much, Allie. Appreciate it. God bless.
Thanks, Glenn.
Allie Beth can be heard on BlazeTV, and her show is just, I mean, it's just, they call her now the contemporary Phyllis Schlafly, which they meant that as a slam, but I would take that as a very, very high compliment, and I know Allie does. And you can hear her on BlazeTV.